Cool. So thank you so much for having me kind of speak about clarity and like maintaining a positive mindset. I think it's really important to really be clear on what you're wanting, whether it's a professional role, whether it's something in your life, if it's a goal that you're trying to set for yourself personally, as well as being able to define what that really looks like and what success looks like, and creating some measurable action items for yourself. So really clarity comes down to being able to have direction and focus. When we know what we're looking for, what is important to us, it gives you a sense of direction, some attainable goals or smaller goals to set to. With defined goals, you channel your time, you energize in the things that are meaningful and are productive in helping you accomplish those goals. So I think a lot of times when we talk about goal setting, it's this really large idea, and maybe we don't know how we're going to get from point A to point B or C, or what that journey might look like. So I think one of the things that helps me provide clarity in my personal life and professional life is understanding what it is. Okay, so if I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and this is the end result of X, Y, Z, and have accomplished a small task, now that makes me more able to go to the next thing. I think that's how sometimes we have to look at goal setting, as breaking it down into individual contributions. So I guess a personal journey I've been on, not professional, is I had a goal last year that I was going to invest in myself and my well-being physically after a very long illness. And it started with a weight loss goal. My goal was, okay, I'm going to start monitoring my calorie intake. I'm going to start modifying some of the behaviors that I see around my eating preferences. I'm going to modify. My goal is to walk half of a mile today. My goal is to drink so much water. And, you know, I found some apps on there that help me manage that. But I am now 30 pounds away from my goal. So the small incremental things that we do in our lives helps us get to that bigger journey that we want to be at. It can be very simple. Okay, my goal today is to find 10 new connections on LinkedIn that are going to add value to me personally, or could be a value to others. Okay, what am I searching for? Am I looking for another recruiter that might have some different industry understanding than I am? Am I looking for a sales director that might have some really good insights on how they manage their sales cadence? What kind of industry am I looking at in the future? What is it that I need to learn?
Of course, what you can do to heal.
So I guess those are kind of the smaller goals, and setting and being precise in what you want to accomplish and what's going to be impactful and how you can measure those goals. The other thing is like intrinsic motivation and drive. Like, what is motivating you to look at a different opportunity? What is motivating you to accomplish a certain milestone? What is really important to you? What is going to bring you value outside of whatever you're trying to accomplish? So when you know what is really motivating you as an individual, and that takes some self-reflection, then you can really go, okay, this is what's really important to me, and this is my drive, and this is where my passion is. I always tell people looking for career opportunities, when I've worked with them in the past recruiting, what are you passionate about outside of work? Because that's important. Is this going to align to the vision that you have and what kind of life you want to create? And then, you know, really having that clarity in the decision-making process. Have your defined goals. They serve as a framework to, you know, decision-making. They provide a criteria against which you can, you know, differentiate different options and choices and really understand, you know, what the bigger picture is. Don't rush to make a decision. Make sure that you have some of the outline things that are important to you. Are they going to manage with your goals and your aspirations? Can you ensure that your actions are going to move you closer to that goal that you want to achieve? And just making sure your goals and your directions meet that aspiration, and that you're making sure that those milestones are met on a personal measure. So I am an Excel person, as much as I hate it, and I have Excel goals for myself. Okay, because I'm old school and that's how you track things. And so I have different milestones I've set for myself for the next 6 months to a year in the new position I'm going to. I have different personal milestones I'm trying to hit. And just really tracking it down kind of allows you to see where you're progressing at and maybe where you're not progressing yet. Kind of doing a 365 view on yourself and setting those SMART goals are really important too. Finding that clarity and that North Star. You know, we talk about time management, prioritizing all the time. Everybody's like, how the hell did you refill 428 seats in 2 years? A lot of time prioritizing, right? Here is my block. This is a block that is not going to be disturbed no matter what. This is what I had to use for my sourcing. This is what I had to use for my outreach. Okay, and then here's my little leeway in my schedule that I can adjust for different like hot topics, because that never happens, you know, like nobody ever says, hey, by the way, I need 5 seats filled by this next week. And the world that I came from, that was always 50. But really having a dedicated schedule helped me, and making sure that I had priority, what I was willing to commit outside of normal working hours. As far as, you know, am I going to have to engage in Slack channels, or I'm going to have to utilize these different resources. So I think that when we look at a big project, sometimes it's like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. How am I going to get through everything? It's really coming down to the line of going, this is how I'm breaking up my day. This is the time I have that I can allocate to this particular project. This is the hidden time that nobody knows that I can shift my priorities if I need to do something else. And here is my tracker for following up on all these different projects that I'm working on, or different roles I'm working at, and having, you know, that pipeline built and kind of seeing where everybody was in the process really helped me. So just breaking things down into smaller incremental chunks really helps a lot with prioritizing. And then the last thing I always like to talk about with like clarity and goal setting is like, how is this aligning with my vision? Does this align with what I'm trying to do with my life? Is this aligning with the business I'm serving? Is there a different way of doing it? Asking for help and seeking guidance is never a bad thing. I think a lot of people get trapped in the thought that they don't need to ask for help, that they somehow look weaker by asking for help, when really we need to rely on the connections that we have and making sure that we're aligning with the other people that we're serving in our lives. So another point of clarity is what's important. Are you money driven? Great. We're all money driven to an extent. Like, how do you get to that income? What are the steps you have to do? What are you willing to learn to get to that step? Are you asking for mentoring? Are you asking for assistance? Are you taking time to reflect on where you are in your journey? So I think all of these things really help define clarity in what's truly important to an individual, and outside the workplace and inside the workplace. And really, you have to take action. You can't be like, cool, I've done all this drafting and highlighting, and I got all these tasks like scheduled in my calendar and all these things, but it's those taking the actions to build to that bigger goal, and really having an understanding where you might have to pivot. Just because you have it written down doesn't mean that's exactly the direction you're going to. I think it's a chance to learn and explore and really see, okay, is this meaning, what am I being responsible to the actions I set for myself? Am I actually performing the things that are going to get me to where I need to be? So I think it's great to have clarity and have those, all the planning is a decision making, and all of those things, but sometimes you just have to go with your gut and trust your instincts and make those decisions on the fly. And I think it's really helped me to say, okay, what I don't want in my next role is X, Y, Z. What I do want is X, Y, Z. This is the pay scale, but this is what I really need to keep the bills paid. So I think that's what has helped me. I had hundreds and hundreds of applicants out there, and I think I had 5 interviews. And then all of the 100 of applicants I did. And it was, you don't have to necessarily LinkedIn message the hiring manager. That's not how I found my job. You can if you want to, but that doesn't mean that it's going to get you anywhere. So I think having an open mind on how you're going to interact and find roles for yourself is really important, or how you're going to find the solution for a business if you're supporting. One of the things that really helps me succeed at Truck Stop and succeed in my personal life is being positive. What can I do today? I always believe in being solution-based and finding what the solution is versus what the challenge is. So when you're solutions-based, oh, great, we need 10 racks filled by the end of 2 weeks. Instead of like, oh crap, how did they not think about this and schedule this ahead of time? Like, you have to be, okay, cool. I hear that we have 10 racks available. Okay, this is the items that I'm going to ask you for support for, so I can help you get those racks filled, or whatever the case might be. So I think it's okay to be like, okay, I'm not going to say, oh, this sucks that I have 10 dropped on me on like a Friday night. It's more like, how do we get through this, and how are we going to fulfill the business needs? So that whole solutions-based mentality versus this is a problem helped me a lot as far as staying positive. I also have a thing about sending people random inspirational like memes and quotes throughout days. Like, it just helps keep everybody in a better mindset. So
No doubt.
I was hoping a little bit more interaction. So I don't know if we're going to take the full hour or not. Is there anything you guys like to add to anything that I had to say?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think, I'd love to get your thoughts on, working with a mentor, if you've ever done that before, or an accountability partner, I guess is a better way to put it, more than a mentor. Because I think with goals, it's like the best laid plans. We all have plans, but then I think most of the things that keep us from attaining our goals is that there's pain associated with getting to the goal, whether it's losing weight or saving money or whatever. Like, we have to, in some ways, deprive ourselves of certain things, and that's causes pain, and people don't like pain. So you have to get, like, you either have to be insanely disciplined, or you have to get pushed through the pain. So an accountability partner can kind of do that for you. But I was wondering what your experience was, if you'd ever worked with anybody in that capacity.
I have had some mentors in the past. One of my goals through this next career journey is to find a mentor outside of the company to kind of help mentor and facilitate like what skills I might be gaps, missing within my skill set to position myself for, a bigger goal or a bigger challenge in the future. One of the best mentors I ever had was a CEO, and he really made me believe I was able to do much more than what I could. And he pushed me into really uncomfortable positions, such as speaking in public. Really was not a fan of that, right? But one of the things I learned from him was, you had to be able to do an analysis on any project that you're working on. You have to understand what your strengths, your weaknesses, your action, your task are, your SWOT analysis, and how you break them down. And like, okay, here is my challenge. This is the obstacle. This is the workarounds to this. This is how we're going to start developing things like a budget for a project. So I think mentorship is great. He kept me accountable. Okay, you said X, Y, and Z is going to be done by this time. Where are we at? So working with a great mentor is going to teach you some of those skills, as well as be like, hey, I haven't heard from you for a while. Like, what's going on? So I think that's great. When I've had the opportunity to mentor refugee students, the number one thing is they don't know where they're going to be sometimes professionally once they get into college. They haven't thought that far. They just know that they need to go to college and they might have an interest in X, Y, Z type of topic. The last refugee mentor I worked with was, she was going into accounting. So it's like, okay, what are you wanting to do with accounting? Because there's so many different verticals to go into. And so we just took some time to really understand where she wanted to go to. And then I provided her some different resources as far as researching different types of accounting and where they can be applicable with. And then, that helped. And then just, hey, how's it going once school started? How's the semester going? Are you running into any obstacles? What are some of the challenge points for you? Are you getting what you expected? How are you meeting your expectations? Are you getting a balance outside of work? So I think being with a mentor is really important, regardless of where you are in your career journey.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's really smart of you to seek somebody outside of your company, because I think you want to cultivate mentors and champions within your company, but I do think that you're rarely going to get like unvarnished truth inside your company, and you're also not going to be able to, if your true desire is, I don't know, let's just say entrepreneurial, you're probably not going to be talking about that as much if it's an internal mentor. So I think somebody external is huge. I think you'll get more truth, and I think you'll be able to share more because anything will feel appropriate.
I have somebody that I kind of go to occasionally within my LinkedIn network for different things on diversity and inclusion, because I want to stay up to date with that and just like be able to go and say, hey, I'm struggling with this and not sure what you've done in a similar situation or a scenario, and this is where I kind of want to be at. So I think those are great points. I love Slack channels. They're enormous for like different avenues of looking at things, because I don't know all the solutions to every single problem. I'm not going to know those things. What I am going to know is how to research and how to actually reach out if I'm like, okay, I still don't understand this concept, and can you help me,
Right.
understand it better, or this is what I'm working on. Do you have any input for this particular subject that I'm trying to work on?
Totally agree.
Amie, are
So-
you connected with